Everybody, welcome back to science. We have been studying the plant life cycle. Just to review what we've gone over so far, we started with a seed. We took apart a bean seed and learned the three parts. We know that seeds sprout into plants, and we did a little experiment where we saw if it didn't have the things it needed, what would happen. And now we're on our third step, where a plant grows its first true leaves. So today we're going to learn a little bit about leaves. But first, I'm actually going to have you guys grab your notebooks, and I'm going to see if you can do a challenge. I want you to see if you can finish the patterns. So I'm going to start each one, and I want you to draw it and see if you can finish it. So here's my first one. Can you finish that pattern? And here's my second one. Can you finish that pattern? Go ahead and pause and try it on your own. Okay, so if you kept going and you kept going like this, that might be one way you could finish the pattern. If you kept going around like this, that could be another way that you could finish that pattern. And I'm showing you that because in our lesson, you might learn that some leaves have patterns that look kind of like this. So I drew an outline around each pattern, and you can see these would be the veins inside a plant's leaf. And we're going to learn more about patterns in these leaves as we go. First things first, though, I'm going to show you how to collect some plants for yourself. And I'll give you an example. But here's what it looks like. You're going to gather your own leaves with adult permission. And I would recommend no ornamental plants. Ornamental plants are plants that people are growing to look pretty. So don't rip a leaf off of them or it won't look as pretty. And it might hurt them. And I would just take one leaf per plant. You don't need a bunch of the same kinds of leaves because we want to see a bunch of different ones. And be careful about sharp thorns. I don't want anyone hurting themselves. Okay, here is an example of the leaves that I went out and just got from just my backyard. So you should come back with about the same number of leaves. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have about 9 leaves. So maybe get like 8 to 10 leaves. That will help you do our experiment today. Okay, did you pause the video and get permission and go out and get some leaves? I hope you did. If you did not, just pause now and then see if you can go grab some leaves. If you do have your leaves, now we're going to sort your plants. We're going to sort your leaves. Scientists really do sort leaves and plants. They call it classifying plants. It helps them figure out which plant is which. And that's really important to know not only which plant is which, but also to name the plants. So you're going to sort your plants. You might sort it a couple different ways. You might first sort it one way. Okay, I'm going to put all the big leaves here and all the small leaves here, right? And then you might go on trying to notice other differences and other ways you can sort them. So go ahead and pause here and try noticing the differences in your leaves and sorting them into a couple different piles. Okay, did you get to sort them? If you have not already tried this, you might try to sort them kind of like the pattern that I showed you at the beginning of class. Let me tell you what those names are called. Scientists have names for the patterns that I showed you guys. The first one is called palmate. You can remember it because palm is like the palm of your hand, and these leaves kind of look like the palm of your hand. There's a point, and then the veins in the plant go out from that point. Okay. Remember, we learned in our celery lesson that the water goes through the veins to get to the leaf. So that's how the water gets to the plant. So it would start here and it would go out like this in the veins. Pinnate is the other pattern I showed you. I remember it because it's got the word pin, which is long and straight. So there's a long straight vein, and then the veins come off like this. And that is called pinnate. So maybe you notice those two patterns. Go ahead, try to sort by those patterns. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, you might find a third or fourth pattern that I haven't mentioned, and you could put it in another pile, but I want you to notice it and see if you can figure out how you would describe any other patterns you see besides palmate and pinnate. So go ahead and pause now, try to sort by palmate, pinnate, and if you get another category, that's fine too. Okay, so showing you mine, here is my pinnate pile. You can see that there's a big vein down the middle, and then little veins come out from the sides. They all look a little bit different. All the water gets to the plant in many different ways. And then over here, I have another pile. This one's only 2, and these are my palmate. there's one big vein down here that's like my little dot, and everything comes out from that. All the veins come out. And then here, this one's kind of cool. Here's my stem, right? And then everything comes out from that. These are actually called leaflets. These are like miniature leaves, and they'll come out, and there's little veins going out from this point right here. Then I almost put this leaf in the palmate pile, but then I looked down and I realized that the veins are separate all the way to the bottom. Let me show that a little better. The veins are separate all the way to the bottom. They get closer, but they never come together. And it reminded me of something that we learned in math about parallel lines. So it got me thinking about a third kind of pattern. And so I added a third category to our list. I added parallel. This word parallel means that there's two lines that never meet. And I remember it because the two L's in parallel never meet or come together. So it would look like that. And in a leaf, it might look like that one leaf I saw where the veins never came together even at the bottom. Or blades of grass, right? If you picked any leaves that were just blades of grass, those also have the parallel pattern. So that's one other pattern you might have noticed. If you've noticed other ones, let me know. I'd love to talk about them more because, of course, this is not every single kind of plant you'll ever see. Before we end, you might be wondering why plants have these different vein patterns. One thing that's really important is it affects the plant's structure or how it's built. A plant like this that is palmate, if it's really windy, there's a lot of holes and the air can go right through. So that really helps this plant, okay? But sometimes other plants do better. They don't really care if it's windy. This one, if it's windy, it would just get blown over. But if it's sunny, it could get more sun coming onto it, right? So there's different structures of plants, and they might give you clues about what the plant needs or what it does. And of course, another reason that scientists really care about how these veins look is so that they can identify plants. Plants are used for all kinds of things. They're used to make cloth. They're used for medicine. Some are eaten, right? And we want to know which plant is which. So start noticing these patterns today and every day whenever you're outside and see if you can figure out a little bit more about how you would sort the plants, because then you'll get closer to being able to identify them. All right, thanks for coming, everybody, and I'll see you next time in science.